If someone is fired 29 days after every Republican votes for her, the Senate confirms her, the secretary said in her swearing in that she has, quote, unimpeachable scientific credentials, and the president called her an incredible mother and dedicated public servant, like, what happened?
I agree with President Trump. We should not hesitate to ask for proof about our vaccines. And I also agree with his most recent comments that vaccines are not controversial because they work. Demanding evidence is exactly what I was doing when I insisted CDC recommendations be based on credible science.
CDC leaders were reduced to rubber stamps, supporting policies not based in science and putting American lives at risk.
When you met with him on August 25th, you have testified that he asked you to approve the recommendations of the new members of the committee, regardless of what they were. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did he cite any data or science as relates to the potential ACIP recommendations to persuade you to support them?
As a matter of fact, we got into an exchange where I had suggested that I would be open to changing childhood vaccine schedules if the evidence or science were supportive. And he responded that there was no science or evidence.
What was the Secretary's reaction when you raised the need to consult scientific evidence before making decisions?
He made another set of assertions associated with CDC that were particularly pointed and particularly hurtful and disparaging. He called, in that context, CDC the most corrupt federal agency in the world. He said that CDC employees were killing children and they don't care. Those statements are not true.
The hepatitis B shot keeps coming up. Before 1991, when not all babies were vaccinated, about 20,000 babies were infected each year. And that after the CDC's recommendations in the 1990s, that dropped by 99%. Is there anything else you want to add? Because I know this has come up numerous times.
I think those are consistent with the information that I have associated with hepatitis B, and it's the promise of the vaccine.
Were you ever directed to not speak to career officials?
I was directed to only work with the political appointees that he had put in place at CDC and not to speak or work with the career scientists. He was very concerned that I had spoken to members of Congress, and he told me I was never to do it again.